Hello everybody! Today we will be talking about SpaceX versus NASA. SpaceX created history on February 6, 2018 by launching the Falcon Heavy, which is, per SpaceX company website, the most powerful operational rocket in the world by a factor of 2.
To thank you for watching this video, we're offering you an absolutely free training webinar. Do you want to learn the secret of improving all aspects of your life and unlocking what you're really capable of? The legendary Bob Proctor spent over 57 years learning this one thing and is hosting a free webinar where he reveals what he's learned and what actually works. He'll teach you the law of compensation, a secret only the mega wealthy know of but not taught in our educational system, and the impression of increase, the law of laws that will increase areas in all aspects of your life, whether it be in health, relationships, or wealth. Right now, the first 200 people to use the link below will get access to this free webinar. Now, let's get back to the video.
As if that weren't impressive enough, Elon Musk tweeted that the Falcon had a cherry red Tesla Roadster strapped on top of it for the rocket's third and final burn. While the launch is a technical and style feat in itself, SpaceX has also achieved a business feat of sorts. That's because the Hawthorne, California-based company has drastically reduced the costs of launching rockets and, in the process, emerged as a front-runner in the industry, though it does face stiff competition from Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin with similar motives of disrupting space travel. SpaceX is a private company, meaning it does not have a market capitalization, but the Wall Street Journal values the company at $30.5 billion at the time of writing. On December 18, 2018, the Wall Street Journal reported that SpaceX is raising $500 million to fund a massive satellite internet project called Starlink. The company plans to send 4,425 broadband satellites into low Earth orbit sometime in 2019, and then another 7,518 satellites at a later date. Starlink, a name that SpaceX trademarked last year, could offer broadband speeds on par with fiber optic networks for a fraction of the cost, if the technology works. And that's a big if. The FCC approved SpaceX application for the service in March, making it the first time the federal agency has ever authorized a company to provide broadband services through low-orbit satellites. That makes SpaceX a bit of a guinea pig, but the risk is apparently worth the reward for Tesla CEO Elon Musk. SpaceX's valuation could soar to more than $50 billion should the Starlink project succeed based on projections from Morgan Stanley. In 2012, SpaceX advertised a launch price of $57 million for Falcon 9, a two-stage rocket designed and manufactured by the company to transport satellites. At that point in time, the market for rocket launches was dominated by Arianespace, a French company that had a head start of more than 3 decades over SpaceX today. SpaceX claims that a Falcon 9 launch costs roughly $62 million, while the new Falcon Heavy dwarfs that, costing an estimated $90 million per launch. In an interview, SpaceX CEO Elon Musk said the Falcon 9's first stage accounts for 75% of total launch costs, or $46.5 million. Because SpaceX is a private company, it has not divulged the secret to its pricing. It has also not filed for patents because they might reveal secrets about its technology. However, in an interview, Musk hinted at how the space company has achieved cost-efficient launches. He said the company operated with a Silicon Valley operating system, and DNA is applied to the problem of space transport. This means eschewing conventionally accepted business maxims, such as outsourcing, prevalent in the space industry. Instead, SpaceX is vertically integrated and has built its entire supply chain, from rocket engines to the electronics components used in its rockets from scratch. In the process, SpaceX has innovated in processes and technology. For example, the production floor and engineering are situated right next to each other in the company's factory for faster turnaround and better communication. Similarly, its two-stage rockets carry just one set of fuel tanks loaded with propellants that will be used across both stages. Most previous rockets used 3 sets of propellants for as many stages. One can presume that the decline in the cost of certain components, such as sensors and electronics, has also helped the company reduce prices. With the launch of its first reusable rocket in recent years, it is probable that this will help SpaceX to further bring down rocket launch costs. A reusable rocket adds economies of scale to operations. Thus, the more times a rocket is reused, the cheaper its launch costs become. Arianespace has estimated that a partially reusable rocket would need to be relaunched 35 to 40 times per year to realize its full cost benefits. The French company is expected to launch its first reusable rocket in 2020, and it is scheduled to be reused 12 times per year.
To thank you for watching this video, we're offering you an absolutely free training webinar. Have you ever wondered how to end procrastination and self-sabotage so you can unleash your full potential to live the life you deserve? #1 best-selling author and high-performance coach Peter Sage is hosting a free webinar where he'll teach you how to increase your wealth with less time and struggle, and also how to hyper-boost your growth and success so you can finally break out of any rut you find yourself in. Right now, Peter and his team are offering a free $100 gift to anyone who doesn't find his webinar as the best use of their time within the last 5 years. Now, let's get back to the video.
Musk's final plan is to send humans to Mars, and with the successful launch of the Falcon Heavy, he is one small step closer to bringing humanity to its next giant leap, or at least to throwing very expensive cars into space. No one has visited the moon since 1972, but with the advent of commercial human spaceflight, the urge to return is resurgent and generating a new space race. NASA has selected the private company SpaceX to be part of its commercial spaceflight operations, but the firm is also pursuing its own space exploration agenda. To enable flights to the moon and beyond, both NASA and SpaceX are developing new heavy-lift rockets, SpaceX Starship and NASA's Space Launch System. But how do they differ, and which one is more powerful? Rockets go through multiple stages to get into orbit. By discarding spent fuel tanks while in flight, the rocket becomes lighter and therefore easier to accelerate. Once in operation, SpaceX launch system will comprise 2 stages: the launch vehicle known as Super Heavy and the Starship. Super Heavy is powered by the Raptor rocket engine, burning a combination of liquid methane and liquid oxygen. The basic principle of a liquid fuel rocket engine is that 2 propellants, a fuel such as kerosene and oxidizer, such as liquid oxygen, are brought together in a combustion chamber and ignited. The flame produces hot gas under high pressure, which is expelled at high speed through the engine nozzle to produce thrust. The rocket will provide 15 million pounds of thrust at launch, which is approximately twice as much as the rockets of the Apollo era. Atop the launcher sits the Starship itself, powered by another 6 Raptor engines and equipped with a large mission bay for accommodating satellites, compartments for up to 100 crew, and even extra fuel tanks for refueling in space, which is critical to long-duration interplanetary human spaceflight. The Starship is designed to operate both in the vacuum of space and within the atmospheres of Earth and Mars, using small movable wings to glide to a desired landing zone. Once over the landing area, the Starship flips into a vertical position and uses its onboard Raptor engines to make a powered descent and landing. It will have sufficient thrust to lift itself off the surface of Mars or the Moon, overcoming the weaker gravity of these worlds and return to Earth, again making a powered soft landing. The Starship and Super Heavy are both fully reusable, and the entire system is designed to lift more than 100 tons of payload to the surface of the Moon or Mars. The spacecraft is maturing rapidly. A recent test flight of the Starship prototype, the SN8, successfully demonstrated a number of the maneuvers required to make this work. Unfortunately, there was a malfunction in one of the Raptor engines, and the SN8 crashed on landing. Another test flight is expected in the coming days. The Space Launch System, SLS, from NASA will be taking the crown from the discontinued Saturn V as the most powerful rocket the agency has ever used. The current incarnation, SLS Block 1, stands at almost 100 meters tall. The SLS core stage, containing more than 3.3 million liters of liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen, equivalent to 1.5 Olympic-sized swimming pools, is powered by 4 RS-25 engines, 3 of which were used on the previous space show. Their main difference from the Raptors is that they burn liquid hydrogen instead of methane. The core stage and booster rockets are unlikely to be reusable. Instead of landing, they will drop in the ocean. So there is a higher cost with the SLS system, both in materials and environmentally. It is designed to evolve to larger stages, capable of carrying crew or cargo weighing up to 120 tons, which is potentially more than Starship. A lot of the technology being used in SLS is so-called legacy equipment, in that it is adapted from previous missions, cutting down the research and development time. However, earlier this month, a test fire of the SLS core stage was stopped a minute into the 8-minute test due to a suspected component failure. No significant damage occurred, and the SLS program manager, John Honeycutt, stated, "I don't think we're looking at a significant design change." So which spacecraft likely to carry a crew to the moon first? Artemis 2 is planned as the first crewed mission using SLS to perform a flyby of the moon and is expected to launch in August 2023. Whereas SpaceX has no specific date planned for crewed launch, it is running #DearMoon, a project involving lunar space tourism planned for 2023. Musk has also stated that a crewed Martian mission could take place as early as 2024, also using Starship. Ultimately, it is a competition between an agency that has had years of testing and experience, but is limited by a fluctuating taxpayer budget and administration policy changes, and a company relatively new to the game, but which has already launched 109 Falcon 9 rockets with a 98% success rate and has a dedicated long-term cash flow. Whoever reaches the moon first will inaugurate a new era of exploration of a world which still has much scientific value. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Goodbye.